On behalf of Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering, I welcome Ashok Seturaman sir in this second phase of STTP on energy conservation and audit. So, uh, so I welcome him on behalf of SITC Uyatra. Now I give brief introduction about him. So he is graduate in BSc BTech from MIT in Instrument Technology. He has 41 years of experience in industry maintenance, project commissioning, etc. He is accredited energy auditor. He also Central Council member of IAEMP. He had conducted around 400 energy audits in India and abroad. He involved in professional training activities in India and abroad. He also write energy conservation articles in many national magazines like Electrical India, Cooling India, Textile Journals, and also on BE website, IAEMP websites. He has recently published a book named as a practical guide to energy conservation and management. With this brief introduction, I request Seturaman sir to start his session. So on this session, he talk on the energy conservation and auditing practices in textile industry. So I welcome again and I request him to start the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kadai sir. Thank you, Kadai sir. Good morning to one and all. Thanks for giving this opportunity, especially to Dr. Sanjay Khat and to the college, Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering. Thanks for giving this opportunity. In fact, I just wanted to go into the energy conservation and auditing practices by the predictive monitoring systems, what we can employ in the energy auditing practices, in the procedures. It is basically condition monitoring approach. There are two types of condition monitoring approach, whether we are going for a preventive type or the predictive type. The industry is employing the maintenance on the prediction side. Prediction maintenance, they are doing it. Let us concentrate on predictive monitoring to achieve this as such. So this energy conservation, it's a collective responsibility, especially I am concentrating on the textile mills. This is a collective responsibility of all the departments. Why I am telling this here is because each and every textile mill, they used to think the electrical maintenance is only responsible for the energy conservation. It is not like that. The electrical maintenance, the mechanical maintenance, and the production and quality. See, the production and quality, they are more into production, and the quality people, they will say, for example, if you want to maintain because I'm specifically concentrating on the textiles, I'll just go into the depths of parameters of textiles. They will always say, if you want to maintain around 1000 pascals in the carding waste collection, whereas the energy conservation wants or the health of the system, carding system, is maintained at 600 pascal itself. The OEM also is accepting to that. So the quality persons, especially in the department in the textile mills, they see that the quality is ensured, but at the same time the energy conservation also is very much possible. And here only we have to work proactively, and it's a teamwork of all the electrical, mechanical, and the production and quality. We can definitely achieve a lot of energy savings. It's a teamwork as such. I'm just sharing some of the case studies where we have done in the industries, and all the textile mills. This is a case study of a 35,000 spindle mill. It's a mill of IT, Indian Textpreneurs Federation. It's a 520 mill group as such. Here we have done the energy audit some 3 years back. One important thing we wanted to suggest, I wanted to give a focus on this is, after conducting the energy audit since 3 years back, this mill has reduced by 10,000 units. From 45,000 units per day, they have reduced to 35,000 units per day. Almost 25% say energy saving is possible. In fact, this mill is an excellent mill. Already they are very much into the energy conservation. They are already doing it. But after this energy audit, and thanks to the latest market intelligence on this energy conservation, thanks to the ITF and other this one coordination, this mill, after doing this 25% reduction, they are able to achieve on their average count of 35.3. Normally we see the average count, it's all, everything is mentioned or referred to as to the 40s count. Here for this 35.3 is their average count, and they had a result of almost 2.82 as the UKG. It's an excellent result. See, the benchmark or the specific energy consumption in terms of UKG with reference to 40s count, this is the area which we are going to concentrate in this session as such. Ultimately, we wanted to achieve the best specific energy consumption. At the same time, the health of the machines is improved, as well the productivity of the machines is improved, and with optimum energy consumption. I don't say minimum, I'll say it's an optimum energy consumption. I'll just go in depth of the specifics of the energy savings done in this mill. Out of this 45,000 units per day, around 10,000 units has been saved, and you can see almost 3,000 units has come in this plant, air condition, that is the humidification plant. Around 3,000 units have come in the spinning waste collection, and all the other areas, the production side, all the, say if it is on the compressor, it's around 1,300. If it is on the spinning waste collection, again, see, this shows what all that is possible to save in the mill is, as I was discussing in the last session, let us demarcate what is the constant torque loads in the mill, especially the production machines in the mill, and what is the variable torque loads in the mill. You can see a very much a good impression about this pie chart, which says 3,000 units in the plant means axial flow fans. It's a variable torque load. It may not follow the centrifugal backward curved impellers characteristics, but this also, it follows the fan's affinity laws more or less, and around 3,000 units per day out of 10,000, almost 30% is savable in this. Then comes this 3,000, which is the spinning waste collection. It's a centrifugal backward curved impeller. In many of the, from 55 kilowatt to 5.5 kilowatt to 55 kilowatt, many of the blowers have been used in the textile mill. Basically, the textile mill is an air operated industry. That's what we say, where the air is required to push the material to in and out, and water is a catalyst and additive for a textile mill. The water is added in stages. The moisture ingress is added in the yarn, right from the cotton to yarn, in stages to improve the quality of the yarn, and ultimately the productivity is also improved. The hairiness is the fineness, that is the quality of yarn, is also improved by the ingress of water, moisture in stages in the humidification plant. The humidification plant in a textile mill, if it is made to work scientifically or it is made to work logically correct, definitely it can increase the productivity of the mill. The statistics of ATIRA or this BITRA or our CITRA, it says it's almost 10 to 15%. The productivity is also possible with an optimum energy conservation, optimum energy consumption as such. This is what we are going to dwell in the next few sessions, topics. Bureau of Energy Efficiency, it gives lot of inputs to all the industries, and if it is taken to this textile mill, one simplest way of energy conservation for any mill or any industry is, what is the fine tuning of input to the existing machine? Monitor your input to reduce the target its reduction. That is what BE says. BE is the main mantra of BE is only monitor the energy consumption for any motors above 10 HP, which is running for 2 shifts a day. Definitely monitor this to target its reduction. The relative condition monitoring of energy inputs for the given machines, a batch of machines, that itself will give the way for the mission, for the industry to see where it is going wrong, where it is going right, and there it can be corrected. We call it as the energy losses, or we call it as the end-to-end losses, the losses between the cup and the lip in the industry. This I can segregate in the electrical side, on the compressed air side, and on the power factor side, and on the pneumatic side, all the in the water side also. The voltage drops that is happening, see, some of the mills report whatever we get around 420 volts at the incoming, we are getting only 360 volt at the tail end. This type of voltage drop is not allowed. Normally, the best operating practices in the mills is they maintain around 10 volts is the maximum drop from end to end. That also is minimized now, because thanks to the we are just going back to the basics, especially in the energy conservation in the industry. The load and compensation, if it is done for any motors above 5 HP, suiting to the no load KVR of the motors, this one, the capacitor is sized to the no load KVR of the motor, 90% of the no load KVR of the motor. If it is done for all the machines, motors above 5 HP, then automatically the voltage drop definitely is going to reduce, and it will be almost on par. End to end, it will be the drops will be maximum 5 to maximum 10 volts only. Then comes the unbalance in voltage. Any unbalance in voltage in any of the machines. This is why we always insist as an energy auditor, each and every machine, let us say the ring frames consume almost 50% of the consumption of the textile mill. Each and every ring frame is supposed to have a basic voltmeter and ammeter apart from the kWh meter, kilowatt, kVA and power factor. Because any voltage unbalance or any voltage drop, when a machine of 55 kilowatt or 75 kilowatt machine is switched on and off, what is the dip, what is the switching surges that is coming up, what is the voltage drop when out of 10 machines running, if one machine is switched on and off, if you are able to see the voltage drop in the next machine, it shows there is definitely a dry contract that is coming to the machine from the SSB to the machine. These are all the things. See, an energy auditor does not rely on the readings what we take in the industry. We just see to it what are all the transients that is happening when we are taking the readings. By switching on and off, what is happening? By switching a capacitor on and off on a T connection to your given motor, what is the kVA drop and what is the kVA rise without capacitor? The demand from the motor. See, the T connection will say whether the capacitor is effective on the motor. All the linear motors where there is no VFD, any motor need to be fixed with a capacitor and a MCB, automatically show the capacitor is checked every month to know whether the capacitor is functioning okay. Yeah, 25 kVA capacitor means it takes only 32 amps or not, or it is taking less than 25 amps means the capacitor has already derated and it has got its life is out. Then comes the power factor. What all the power factor we maintain at the power house or at the towards the EB, that is definitely needed, but it is the first and the foremost that we have to improve the power factor on each and every linear motor above 5 HP. Any standard motor, I mean to say, without VFD. A VFD motor is there means there is no need for a capacitor there. Automatically it is taken care. VFD, by the, if you see by the electricals Thevenin circuit, it is basically, it's a variable capacitor for a zero load to, from no load to full load for the given motor. If the VFD is fixed, the VFD will maintain around 0.9 as the power factor. That is the best branded VFD. Why I am suggesting here, why I am telling you specifically on this, because a VFD can give almost 0.6, 0.7 also. Some of the non-branded VFDs, they give around 0.7 or 0.8. It is not PF compensated. The branded VFD will maintain a power factor of around 0.0, 0.9 always. So the no load KVR of kilowatt, kVA, KVR of all these parameters, it is definitely going to help when we know whether it is the machine load or it is the yarn load. Basically, the machine is self-consuming more, or it is giving to the yarn, to the production of yarn. It is used for the production of yarn. So always let us take, instead of a open shaft KVR for the given capacitor sizing, we can have a fully loaded KVR. These are all the practical deviations we make so that we give enough KVR for the motor at the motor end. The THD amps, the H5 and H7, which is acting due to this VFD, that needs to be reduction, that the reduction has to be done in stages from the load itself. Normally we say the house harmonics, the harmonics has to be house arrested. If that is done from each and every load end, definitely the harmonic impact on the given textile mill will be very much less, both on the current side and also ultimately on the voltage side as well. See, as I was telling, the energy auditor, he goes into the study of the mill, not only on the point of study, the period of study, we also look into the maintenance aspects of the mill. Many of the textile mills are still doing this reactive based maintenance, that is breakdown maintenance. And many of the mills, that is the old generation mills, but many of the mills, 7 out of 10 mills have changed over to proactive type. But still, many of the proactive type mills, they are doing only a preventive maintenance. They go by the OEM. Whatever the energy auditors say, they go by the OEM's instructions and recommendations, and they say 3,000 hours they have to do this oil change, 6,000 hours they have to make the filter change, this filter change, or whatever that is told by the OEM, they are following it. But throughout the industry, thanks to Bureau of Energy Efficiency, this condition-based monitoring has taken over in many of the industry aspects. This condition-based monitoring do the maintenance right on time when it is needed. I will just go in later slides. Why this condition-based monitoring can give yield a lot of energy savings to the textile mill. Thanks to our beloved past president, APJ Abdul Kalam, he is always focusing on the national T&D. Almost 2004-2005, it was around 35%. See, why I'm talking about the national T&D loss? The national T&D loss is replicated in the textile mill or any other industry also. What is transmitted? The transmission loss is less, the distribution loss is more. From 2004-2005, now on 2019-20, yesterday our Milinji also was referring to this. Now we are almost around 20% now. We are the T&D loss is around 20%, whereas the Western nations like Germany or Europe or any of the other countries, they are less than 10%, 4% or 7% it is they are operating. Our APJ, our Dr. Abdul Kalam sir's main priority is, if you want to improve the energy intensity or the energy conservation in the industry or in the distribution network on the electrical side, power grid side, we have to concentrate to reduce the T&D loss. Now from 35% has come to 20%, and in another 2 to 3 years, we are trying to go to almost 15% now. By 2020, we are planning to go for 15% is the T&D loss. We want to reduce more and more. Why I am saying here is the T&D loss is affecting the textile mill much more than anybody is anticipating. See, as I was telling before, textile mill needs air for carrying the, it is air operated, whereas the moisture has to be ingressed at the cotton side, at the blow room side, at the carding side, at the spinning side, and on the autoconer side. The moisture ingress has to happen in the cotton and yarn in stages. If too much of moisture is given to the cotton or to the in the spinning area, this is also a problem. So we have to go by stage. If you see the air conditioning plant or the humidification plant for a given mill, our Mr. Prakash is an air engineering expert. He is going to take the next session. It will be an excellent session on the humidification side. Here you can find the transmission distribution, whatever that is done in the textile mill is, we are trying to maintain almost 95% to 98% RH at the mist eliminator side of the humidification plant. But 98% RH maintained at the mist eliminator, that is not reaching to the tail end of the mill. The transmission and the distribution loss is more in the mill, especially on the humidification plant. And if you are able to correct it, ultimately we have to replace the existing GI ducts and you have to go for the FRP ducts, especially the circular ducts. Definitely this will see to it that whatever that is done in the humidification plant, that will be straight away transferred to the mill premises in the spinning area, in the autoconer area, and in the blow room area as well. So the temperature and RH at the mist eliminator heavily gets dropped, because once it goes under the false ceiling, it is kept open. It has to be insulated. We go for a medium density insulation, MDF we say, and it has to be insulated. Sorry, sir. The medium, the insulation has to be, the
we
medium.
Request participant to mute actually, please. Any participants, please mute. Sir, your camera is not on. We
Yes,
want
sir.
Recording is essential. So
Okay,
there it
okay,
will
okay.
reflect.
I'll switch on the camera, sir. Fine, sir. Fine, sir.
Please.
I was seeing the network issue. That's why I closed it. I'll just switch on, sir. Okay. Thank you, professor. So the temperature and RH at the mist eliminator is heavily dropped inside the mill. That is one of the reasons we are trying to overwork the humidification plant to achieve the savings in the mill. That is also not required. Then comes the pneumafill air blower at the ring frame machines. In the ring frame machine, whatever is the pneumafill air that is pumped from the blower end to the other end, heavy drops are there because the duct size is small. It has been designed for a old generation, this one, and the latest MOC, the material of construction, also matters, and that also has to be changed to improve that end to end the Pascal drop is minimized. I am getting this screen sharing is paused, sir. I don't know why. Okay, so the motor to machine, next comes the motor to machine power transmission through bells and pulleys. The old concepts of bells and pulleys, now it has been revamped now, thanks to the latest energy efficient belting and the resized pulleys. Then coming to the utility compressed air, the cool dry air has to reach in stages from the compressor to the machines. If you find all the air receivers, lot of water is there in the air receiver, that needs to be automatically drained by the electronic level sensing drain valves, automatic drain valves, which will maintain the water should not be there in the pneumatic line of the air side. That is, each and every bleed type valves or the pneumatic blocks in all the machines, the water is there, means this is a point of origin of compressed air leak. So if the refrigerator dryer and the air is water is removed from the compressed air head from the header and up to the tail end machines, definitely the leakage can be controlled in the textile mills. Many of the textile mills report almost 30 to 40% the compressed air leakage is happening, because the origin of leakage starts from the poor maintenance of refrigeration dryer and on the water ingress in the compressed air line. Leave alone the compressed air monitoring, we have to maintain the Pascal monitoring of the from the blower to machine also, especially on the carding waste collection. We are maintaining almost 1500 pascals at the blower end, and we are only receiving around 500 to 600 pascal only at the carding end. Almost 1000 pascal is getting dropped. This also is a point of T&D loss. It can be definitely be controlled. Whatever that is wanted, the VFD is supposed to be, the closed loop VFD control has to be put on the blower control, and this will maintain the Pascal required for the carding machine as such. So as I was telling before, three types of this one loads you see categorize for any industry. It is not only for the textile mill, you categorize on any industry, whether it's a constant power load. Okay, this constant power load, the metalworking of these machines only, they have that. This extruder or mixer, they come on this. And we normally it is the frequency of that metalworking machines is less in the industry, whereas the constant torque load and the variable torque loads are very much more.
Sir, just I'll interrupt. Just the slide is not moving, sir. You are referring the slide, no?
So I'm just seeing there is once I switch off this video. Are you able to see this now, sir?
Yes. Now I can see.
So once I switch off the video, it is getting correctly, sir. That is the problem I faced.
Okay, just please repeat.
Okay, so there are, see, when you enter a textile mill or any other industry, categorize the loads. As an energy auditor, categorize the loads. First, define the loads, whether it is a constant torque type, because this constant power loads, the frequency of constant power loads in the industry is very less. It is based working on the metal working, this one only, machines only, loads only. Whereas like extruder or mixer, whereas this variable torque loads and constant torque loads, the maximum number of machines are only on this only. And all the production variable machines invariably are constant torque loads, especially the ring frame, especially the all the textile machines, say simplex or carding or all these are constant torque loads. And the variable torque loads are the centrifugal type pumps, axial flow fans, and the centrifugal backward curved blowers. The axial flow fan may not follow the fan affinity laws as expected for a centrifugal backward curved centrifugal load, but definitely this is following with a definite dead band in between. So basically we are trying to identify the problems in the utility equipments and in the production machines. This is the part of our energy audit. The energy audit is not only to get the energy savings possible for the textile mill, but it is also to find where is the defect in the system. The defect has to be focused and it is to be highlighted to the management. Especially many of the machines are bought, the production machines, the management takes care, utmost care. If it is an auto corner means they will go for a 250 kV UPS or any like many of the machines, they take all the protections, whether it's a constant voltage stabilizer or a servo stabilizer for a auto corner or a carding machine, they do everything. But when it comes to the utility, they see that okay, we are whatever that is given by the OEM, let us do it. If there is a mistake at the time of installation, the inefficiency creeps in all the utility machines, especially right from the installation. And that is what it is silently ignored by the industry. We as an energy auditor, we have to focus on this, especially on the transformers, electrical distributions. These are all the areas where, see, the transformer is there, we know the what is the copper loss and what is the iron loss. But when more and more of VFD loads are added, almost 70 to 80% VFD loads are added now, thanks to all the modernization in the textile mills, many of the latest trends in the automatic that is auto cone winding, all this all these automatic production mechanisms are put in the textile mill machines. Definitely the VFD is becoming more, non-linear loads are more. If you see the non-linear loads in the given transformer, automatically the transformer K rating also matters, and there is a loss more in the transformer. So we have to see to it that the amount of THD, especially the H5 and H7 that is pumped out from the VFD, that has to be controlled and at the VFD itself or at the SSB itself. Then the end-to-end energy losses, as I was telling on the compressed air, as well as telling on the Pascal. Compressed air, at least the pressure is monitored. The Pascal, if it is monitored, definitely the energy savings is much more possible in a textile mill than the compressed air. All the textile mills are concentrating only on the compressed air, but if they concentrate on the Pascal measurement on all their waste collection systems, right from the ring frame to carding to all the other machines, waste collection blowers, the energy savings, percentage of energy savings is more than 30 to 40%. As well, it is in the humidification plant also. They are overrunning the humidification plant, but the effect of humidification plant is seen less in the mill only. It is happening in the compressors. What is generated more is almost 78 bar, whereas the mill is able to operate some of the big group mills. When we did the PAT audit, we are seeing the big group mills where they are consuming more than 1 lakh units per day. They are operating around 5.5 to 5.8 bar only at the main header compressor pressure. Whereas all the small mills like around 20,000 or 35,000 mills, they are operating at 6 bar or 7 bar. The more and more the amount of compressed air header pressure, the more and more the pressure consumption. Almost every, you can see from 1 bar reduction, 6 to 8% the power savings can be achieved. Fans and blowers also, the OEMs have to give you a provision to measure the Pascal right from the blower end to the tail end. If we make a provision just by the drilling machine and measure all the Pascal at the end to end, we know the Pascal drop is very much more than the normal drops as such. Coming to the, I'm just going to the case studies of the textile mills where 50% of the consumption is on the ring frame. We are very much aware. Almost, I'm just telling it's a thumb rule only. Let us say the mill is consuming 10,000 units per day, means 5,000 units per day is going towards the ring frame only. If we are able to see, why I'm suggesting here now is condition monitoring not only is on the ultrasonic or the infrared, it is on the oil analysis or the grease analysis for the given textile mill or for the any of the industry where we can achieve this. Where we can achieve this energy conservation, at the same time we can go for productivity improvement also. We are used to this conventional type grease for all the motors and all the mill linkage parts, the power transmission parts. If you are able to replace the conventional grease, multi-purpose grease with a specialty grease where it is a polyurea thickened grease with an additive and in this one thickener, definitely this grease will definitely, in fact some of the bearing OEMs, they are saying energy saving bearing with this specialty greasing. This also is paving a way for towards the energy conservation. We can see almost 2 to 3% on the existing ring frames just by cost. By a daily, you have to spend only one day reworking on the bearings and putting this specialty grease on all the ring frame machine, one machine per day. Almost 3% is savable in a machine just by a retrofit of almost 3,000 rupees is the specialty grease is the cost as such. The payback is just within a month. This, after having done the energy audit, we are studying the parameters. You can see these are all the parameters that is available on a ring frame, where you can see the top line, it's a green line showing the speed of the machine. It is operating from 12,000 to almost, it is going to almost 21,000, 21,500 RPM, the spindle RPM I am telling. The middle blue line shows the kilowatt, and the bottom line, red line, shows the hank length. The hank length gradually increases to the maximum. When there is a camelback, it's basically, we call it as a camelback curve, especially on the ring frame monitoring, the kilowatt monitoring. Here, after conducting the energy audit, we are going through all their this mill has, textile mill has this RRD, this Honeybee Automation has done the ENMS, and we can see when there is a increase in step change and increase in the spindle speed, the jerk is there in the kilowatt. Here we suggested them, you replace all your tin roller bearings with the specialty grease. Try to reduce the friction in between the components from the main motor to the spindle. Automatically this becomes straight lined, it becomes smoothened, and the energy savings is achieved in this mill. And after that only we started suggesting to each and every mill wherever that is possible. I will just go in depth of that this one also. Citra says the energy consumption for a ring frame, almost the spindle power, say let us say it's a 1200 spindle, 1200 spindles, they consume almost 40% of the motor power. The spinning power is 20%. The tin roller pulley and shaft, this is 12%. This is more. This is more means what? This is varying, and normally the bearings are supposed to be replaced once in 5 years. And if the mill is not replacing the bearings, at least they have to go for the specialty greasing of bearings. Every 2 years, if they are able to replace this grease, automatically there is a savings of almost 3 to 6% by just touching. This is what it is called as the T&D loss. The T&D loss in a textile ring frame is what is transmitted up to the tin roller is the transmission, and from tin roller to the individual spindle, it is almost the distribution. There it can be very much corrected, and the energy savings is possible from 3 to 6%. This we have seen in all our energy audits, post audit energy audit implementation. It is see, we have come across having done 400 energy audits in many of the industries, we have come across this ring frame in a textile mill. It's a unique machine. A motor power is around 40 meters. The motor is kept at one end. The transmission is happening up to 40 meters through 52 tin roller bearings. It's a tin roller. See, many of the textile mills also, they are doing a lot of ingenious work, innovative work, going for the weight reduction in tin roller bearings, but that also did not help them much. But having done the specialty greasing for all these tin roller bearings to match to the spindle load, see, almost you find 52 bearing. Normally, when we find any of the industry, we will find a drive end bearing, non-drive end bearing from the motor, and it's a journal bearing or a pillar block bearing on the machine side, and it will be connected to the machine. It's a tangential shear stress from the motor to machine. It can happen for any of the industry. But this ring frame, it's a unique machine where the motor power is transmitted through 52 twin roller bearings to the spindles. Ultimately, it's a 1200 spindles. So if the power is transmitted more and it is distributed, the loss is happening in the distribution, this can be corrected by going for condition monitoring of the tin roller bearing and going for the specialty greasing. Instead of regreasing more, we can go for this one. I can just say as a blockwise this one, these are all the subsystems. What is happening is a 55 kilowatt motor or a 75 kilowatt motor is at one end of the ring frame machine. It's almost 40 meters away from the tin roller bearing is almost 135 feet. The distance of the tin roller, the tin roller shaft, and you can see the power is transmitted to the tin roller shaft by the pulley and belt, and the power is transmitted from the tin roller pulley to 52 numbers of 45 NPB bearings. And from there the spinning, and from there it comes to the bearing and the jockey pulley and the package and the drafting and the spinning drive and the spindles. So the power transmitted from the 52 bearings to the spindle tape to the spindle, here the 2 to 3% power loss, this can be arrested. If you the textile mill maintenance needs just one day, only 2 shifts a day to take out all the bearings, replace with the specialty grease. Straight away you can see from the next week onwards, you can see around savings of 2 to 3%. Some mills have achieved almost 6% also. This is the type of bearing. After having done the energy audit, we are also into the post audit implementation also. We come across it is a normal 45 NPBB tin roller bearing. So almost you can see on the palm, almost you can see the how much of 1 inch by 1 inch amount of grease that has been totally been, it is a grease cake that is there, because multiple times greasing has been put, the multi-purpose grease, it is acting like a dead body in between the transmission. It is not allowing the spindle speed to go up, or it is increasing the kilowatt, and the friction is more in the tin roller bearing. It is not only on the tin roller bearing, it is applicable to motors, it is applicable to any of the machines. Basically, why I am touching this oil analysis or the grease analysis. Grease, see, thanks to PCRA, they always used to give fuel oil diagnostic studies, FODS, and the oil analysis has to be done on each and every industry. There is a kit that is readily available. Basically, the grease is a precision combination of additives, oil, and thickener. The grease has to act like a sponge to retain and release the oil from the bearing, from the moving part to the non-moving part, from the non-moving part to the moving part. So the time and temperature conditions definitely deplete the oil conditions. You can see the 3 types of grease. The fresh grease is like this, whereas the heavily oxidized grease, it is almost becoming a cake. This is it is a load by itself. It is a load in between. If you see a 40 feet road on a 1 meter on a national highway, you have a 20 feet small this one, you can say there is a block. Automatically the traffic increases, the traffic density increases. Like that, if the grease becomes a solid and it is standing in between the transmission, this is a point of hotspot. We always look into the energy conservation law. Whatever the energy inputted to the system, the energy input has been, it has to come out. If the output is not coming fully, then the loss will be there. The loss or the symptom of loss is the hotspot that is measured by your infrared thermal imagers. So if you see the last one, it is totally worn out. This type of grease is there in many of the textile mills. When you go to energy audit, you go off all the, I don't say you need to do the grease analysis. You check the grease, what is the condition of the grease. You find both the thickener and additives have totally decomposed and the oil is totally broken down. This needs to be replaced right in time. The specialty grease with the polyurea thickened grease, it is definitely able to do a job. Either the the lithium complex grease or a synthetic grease with a polyurea thickening, this one thickener will definitely does the purpose as such, and it is energy saving as well. Having done this in many of the mills, this energy audit, we have around 10 to 20 proposals. One of the proposals is on the tin roller bearings. Many of the mills have given the reported back to us, because this has not been told by the OEMs. Why it is not been told by OEMs, we are not aware. But once we have taken this measuring the hotspot, once we have done this, almost one frame 1200 a long frame report, almost 65 units per day is the energy savings. Some units reported around 30 units. Some units, the UKG, see, by reduction of this the hot cake inside this one, we are able to increase the speed also, spindle speed also, from 20,000 to 22,000 RPM. The UKG came down from 3.3 to 3 also, and their production also went up from 18 ton to 22 ton. So these are all the areas. Energy conservation is not limited to only the point of study or the period of study. We have to go into the logbooks of the mill. We have to see what are all the mills is purchasing towards the consumable, towards the maintenance, towards their all their electrical and mechanical maintenance aspects. That also is a part of the energy audit, where the findings will definitely give you a way to the mill to improve their the latest maintenance practices. They can go for it as such. This is what I am trying to say. We are not limiting to energy audit for a given textile mill or for any industry, you can say. This is typically meant for a industry where the maintenance is done from predictive maintenance to preventive maintenance to breakdown maintenance. You can see the potential for failure can be measured by the ultrasonic waves. We are using these ultrasonic waves. We are now the sonic imager is gradually, it is in the nascent stage. It started gradually entering the industry now. And any of the motors, especially alignment, you see, textile mill is an alignment oriented industry. Here the alignment is more critical, more important. So vibration has to be measured on 3 axes by the shock pulse mode. We have to see the microns or the per second or the micron per second, all the acceleration due to gravity on X, Y, Z of the motors, especially in the textile mill, especially on the ring frames. This has not entered the mill. See, predictive maintenance is one thing, predictive monitoring is one thing. Predictive monitoring only if it is done, and only the predictive maintenance can be done as it. The thermal imager, thanks to now I have come across ITF, where I am also part of the ITF, this energy audit and advisory, this one, where we find this infrared thermal imager out of the 500 mills, more than 300 to 400 mills have purchased this at a cost of 1 lakh. It was all costing before 2 lakhs. Now it is less than 1 lakh. It is available. This is a point where the origin of hotspot is seen on the energy flow diagram of any industry. You cannot. It is not limited to textile mill. Any energy flow by the Sankey chart also says what is the percentage of energy that is going end to end from the input to output. We are concentrating on the energy flow. What is streamlined, what is turbulence, where it is crossing, and where there is a obstruction of energy flow, there it is a point of hotspot. The law of energy conservation says whatever that is inputted, either it has to come out or that has to come out as loss. Why some of the motors are very hot at 80 degrees and why some of the motors are around 60 degrees, just 20 degrees above ambient. A warm motor is always better than a hot motor. The efficiency of a warm motor is definitely better than the hotter motor. Then comes the oil analysis. This is also important. See, the textile mill has not taken this. Once we take up this oil analysis, it will give a lot of inputs to the textile mill. What is the condition of the oil? What is the condition of the whatever the oil that has been used, that has to be checked as such. Then comes what is able to hear, what we can smell it, and what we can see it. In some of the belt connected motors and machines, if you go and stand near any of the waste collection machine in a textile mill, you will find when the motor is starting, you will find so much of rubber smell is there. The rubber belt is already gone and you can even smell it. We are allowing to the point of breakage or blockage. Let us not allow that. The potential for failure, you spot it at the ultrasonic, that is not possible. It is still in the nascent state. At least in the infrared, whatever that is the hotspot that is seen in the machine, you try to take the control and then try to take immediate action. Nipping in the bud is more important, especially when you correct the defect. A system, if it is having a defect or a defect is originating from a small size to bigger size, immediately if it is nipped in the bud, definitely energy saving is possible in that system. If you are allowing the defect to grow more in the system, energy saving is not possible, only energy cutting will happen. This is what we say, the explanation of that. The failure begins and the failure can be monitored by ultrasound, then comes the vibration, then comes the analysis, oil analysis, then comes the infrared, then comes the audible noise. Why we say some of the motors are really noisy? We are already at the fag end, we are at the tail end of the noise, that is the breakdown that is going to happen. At point P5, it is at the point of breakdown. We are seeing the motors at the point of breakdown. Let us see the motor by infrared thermal imager before itself. At point P4 itself, we can see our motors on all the machines. It is not see worldwide. The infrared thermal imager is used only on the electrical panels and motors, but we have been using for the past 10 years this infrared thermal imager. We are using it on all the process lines and all the process. Compressed air, it can be used very much. I will just show you in another slide. Like that, the infrared thermal imager can be put to only the emissivity to be taken the control. Automatically, you can have lot of inputs from the infrared thermal imager. A motor, as I was telling before, around 20 degrees, 40 degrees is the ambient. If it is around 60 degrees, it is a warm motor, it is healthy. If it is more than 80 degrees, it is not healthy. It is getting overloaded. Either the fan at the fan cowl or the fan that is at the non-drive end, it is not able to, the fluff is totally choked. Textile mill, the main curse in the textile mill is the fluff that is there. It gets deposited on the motor fan cowl. Automatically it gets blocked, and the motor non-drive end is very cool at 20 or 30 degrees, say around 40 degrees, and the drive end goes to 90 degrees also at 100 degrees. So ensure that the air passage is there in all the motors. See, this can be done not by the energy auditor, but it is for the mill maintenance to take care. It's a routine maintenance to take care, to see to it that the motor is getting a free flow of air from the non-drive end to the drive end. Automatically the motor will be healthy always. The bearings failure is due to repeated pumping of the multi-purpose grease in any of the textile mills. On high capacity motors, I am talking about the ring frame motor, where we have seen in some of the textile mills, every month they are pumping more and more amount of grease. You will be surprised, you see, when you go to the audit, when the machine is stopped, taken for maintenance, the maintenance person will be greasing the, let us say, ring frame, and he switches on the ring frame will be tripping for 3 or 4 times due to over greasing. Over greasing or grease acting as a overload for the machine, it is not good for the textile mill. So you have to see the pump the grease, monitor and pump the grease, and the grease has to be a specialty lubricant only as such. See, these are all may not be the part of energy audit, but we are doing the root cause analysis for a given textile mill to say where they have gone wrong, how they can come to the right direction. We have to inculcate the best operating practices in the textile mill, because half of the industry is more of textile spinning mills only. Lakhs and lakhs of textile mills are there in each and every state. If the textile mills are able to wake up to this call and able to reduce their energy consumption by 10 to 20%, definitely it will be a win-win situation for India compared to the other parts of the world. Coming to the motor survey recommendations, basically any motor running around 50 to 75%, it is fine. Any motor above 100%, the motor either needs to be replaced or the load has to be optimized. The load has to be looked into. Many of the our auditors, we think the motor is a problem. Motor is not a problem. If you take any of the energy loss happening in the motor to machine system, only 1/4, 25% only on the motor loss towards the motor, and 75% loss can happen only on the load side. It can happen to any of the losses, the machine side loss, inefficiency due to idling losses, throttling losses, damper operation. Like this, many of the losses can happen only on the load side. That has to be corrected. And we have to see from the motor end, the motor is getting a correct voltage, not low voltage, correct power factor from the motor, and the voltage imbalance is not there. Once the voltage imbalance is there in the motor, automatically the derating of the motor is there up to 25%. 5% voltage imbalance at the motor end, straight away the motor gets derated by 25%. I think our J.S. Srinivasan, he would have discussed more about the motors. Any motors coming, see, this is all a typical application where you find the cylinder motor, especially on the carding machine. It is a high torque motor. The cylinder is a high torque, so it has to start with a high torque, and a 9.3 kilowatt motor will be running always around 3 kilowatt only, running kilowatt. A 5.5 kilowatt will be running less than 3 kilowatt only as a running kilowatt. In that case, instead of fixing a VFD, it's a costly solution. We can go for an automatic delta to star converter. It's an electronic EEPROM controller. Once it is fixed, provided the motor running kilowatt is less than 40% of the motor rated kilowatt, a motor can be run at, instead of 400 volt, a motor also can be run at 230 volt. Still, we can achieve a savings of almost 8 to 10%. It depends upon the motor application, whether it's a constant torque or a variable torque, and based on the application, the energy savings is possible for a given motor. This is a B table. B is guideline table. It's an excellent table. You have to situate that. You always situate the motor is in the delta zone between 60 to 80% for a healthy running of motor. The motor loading decides the motor efficiency. That is, the motor running losses also can be curtailed if the motor loading is maintained at 60 to 80% for any given motor. By retrofitting this automatic Del Star, around 12 units per day is savable in a cylinder motor of a given machine. This cylinder motor is a heavy running torque, heavy starting torque, because the cylinder size is more than, it is a big size cylinder. So here the, say around 12 units per day. See, textile mill is an area where small drops only make a big ocean. We can save energy savings in each and every motor, every machine, and every component. All these things make only around 20 to 30% savings possible as such. Once the VFD is fixed on any of the machines, like say waste collection blower or the axial flow machines, we have to see to it that VFD is not put to the machine which is already overloading condition. Yeah, VFD can deliver its excellent energy saving only when the machine is operated at part loading only. When the machine is already running at 100% load, you can see any of the compressors, a compressor, a 75 kilowatt compressor will run at almost 95 kilowatt, because it is always operated at service factor of 1.2 only. Now they have to, one energy saving option there is, instead of having a 75 kilowatt compressor, as an energy auditor, we can suggest the textile the industry to replace that 75 kilowatt to 90 kilowatt, straight away bring down the kilowatt loading of the given machine. Instead of 110% at 1.2 service factor, you can bring it to 80 or 90%. That itself is energy saving for the compressed air generation as such. When you are fitting a VFD on the system, you have to see we have to open all the panels, motor panels in the textile mill, because fluff is totally there in the mill. You can put in a small PVC pipe exhaust, so that the see, when you are doing the thermal imaging, you have to see the VFD also in this thermal imaging. You have to see to it that the VFD is totally at warm condition. The heat sink may be there, a bigger heat sink may be there, the OEM has given, but still the heat cannot go out if the fluff is getting deposited on all the heat sinks. So see to it that the VFD panels and this one machines are all ventilated adequately. Coming to the harmonic aspects, you can see all the VFD OEMs, they always say we have provided a DC link choke that will take care of the system. Definitely it is not. The DC link choke can only give a part amount of reduction of H5 or H7. A combination of a AC reactor and a DC link choke, you can see the graph on the right side, that will definitely bring down for almost say around 60% of the H5, that was brought down to less than 28%. This is what house arresting the harmonics H5 and H7 component by having this line reactance choke, match the line reactance choke. This is more important, and this is very much applicable to all the ring frame machines, where if you are overloading the machine, this harmonic choke will not help, because this will reduce the voltage at the input. If you are partly loading the machine, the harmonic, this line reactance choke is a mandatory thing, and you can suggest to the textile mill, add the line choke at least the point of where the harmonics is going more, there you get it arrested there. Coming to the motors, motor to machine, the power transmission, all the TFOs, the twisting machines, you can see all this, the old generation. See, I am talking about the old machines, I am talking about the new machines also. You can see so much of weightage is given on the motor pulley and machine pulley, just by replacing. It is not only on the material conservation, it is also by going for material conservation on all the pulley resizing. And see, as an energy auditor, we have suggested them to go for cogged belt, but cogged belt on a heaviest pulley is totally irrelevant. We have to resize the pulley, and automatically this also brings down the energy savings. This also gives energy saving. Any of the thermal imager used in the mill, not only use it on your electrical panel, you use it on all the belts also. If the belts are hot by more than 20 degrees or 30 degrees above the ambient, that is a loss to the belt, that is a loss to the machine, that is a loss to the mill as such. We have done this one energy audit for this given one. It's a big group. We haven't done the energy audit. We have suggested to go for this cogged belts, and we have suggested them to resize the pulleys. They achieved energy savings. That is not, I don't talk about energy savings, I say the units per kg, UKG, are the specific energy consumption, that reduced by 32%, because they are able to ramp their speed, because there is a dead wood is there in between on the pulleys and belts. There it is corrected automatically, the energy savings is done. More than the energy savings, the productivity improvement is also seen by reducing the transmission and distribution loss from the motor to machine. This is not only on the TFO machine, it is also on the short frame machines. It's a 432 machine where you can find it's a 20 HP motor on same delta, that is the motor and machine pulley size are same, but we have replaced the pulley, the mill is replaced the pulleys and they have gone for the cocked belts and they also achieved 30%. See, these are all the areas where the mill has to concentrate more. This is an avenue. This is an area where it is not, it is a gray area where the mill has not looked into it. If we look into it, we will get lot of energy savings because it is not seen. A wobbling belt or a glassy pulley is a point of loss. It's a tip of loss. If you tip of iceberg, if it is touched, automatically the energy loss also can be corrected. The energy, that is the productivity also can be increased. The spindle speed also can be ramped up as such. The industry always coming to these are all on the production machines. I have, that is the case study on the production machines. I'll just come to the utilities also. The industry, our Mr. Prakash, the air engineering expert, he will take on the depth of the blowers, but I'll just give you an overall picture. The industry or the textile mill talks about the motor efficiency 92.3, 91.5, 91.67, like that. They talk in terms of 2 decimals for a motor, but the blower efficiency, none of the textile mill, none of the industry talks, because we have not measured the static pressure for any of the given blowers. Maybe it's an axial plan or for the blower, and with the efficiency calculation is not done from the OEM, it has not reached the textile mill. You please ask the blower OEM, what all the blower OEM of your mill, you ask them to give the blower spec, what is the fan performance curve, that will show whether you are operating your blower at 60% or 50%. If you go to HVAC side on all the building segment, the blowers are operated at 30% load, 30% efficiency, 30 to 40% only is the efficiency. They are still operating a forward curved centrifugal blowers for all these 5 HP and 7.5 HP. If this is replaced with a backward curved centrifugal curved impeller, this will give a savings of straight away 10 to 20%. There is a random change here that is happening in the building segment. I will also see it is in textile mill also. People say, well, let us go for easy fans, electronically commutated fans, and backward curve type. That can give straight away 20%. But on the existing machine also, you can achieve that same 20%. You can see the 4 this one impellers. What all the textile mills, 9 out of 10 textile mills, they are using this backward straight impeller only. Almost it is the efficiency difference between a backward straight and a backward curve is almost, you can see it's almost 6%. This is a straight away visible loss happening in each and every textile mill. When you go for an energy audit, you just see the blowers, you visualize the blower internals, you just ask them to open any of the blowers and see this, and ask them to change this one impellers and the number of impellers, and the instead of a straight impeller, if they go for a curved impeller, straight away they can achieve the energy savings. One is on the impeller, the next one is on the closed loop control of this one. See, a typical waste collection system, not only on the textile mill, it is applicable in the engineering industry, it is applicable in the foundry also. You find the suction Pascal has to be maintained at, see, a blower needs, a carding machine needs only 600 Pascal, means you maintain 600 Pascal. Instead of that, you are maintaining 2200 Pascal at the motor. Almost from 2200 Pascal, you bring down to 1600 at the primary filter. Then on the secondary filter, you bring it to 1200. Then from 1200 to you bring it to 900. Then they give it to 600. This much of loss gradient need not happen. If you fix a VFD, the VFD will see the sense the pressure, that is Pascal, that is required at the blower header, that is at the collection header, waste collection header near the carding machine, and it will maintain the blower at 45 instead of 50 Hertz. It will maintain at 35 Hertz also. This is a closed loop control for a given centrifugal blower is mandatory. It has to be done. A variable torque gives 30% savings. The first slide which I was telling you, the 25% energy savings done by our Soumya spinners Coimbatore, it is partly mainly due to the variable torque loads, and this waste collection blower is a critical area where the energy savings, the percentage of energy savings is very much high. You can concentrate on all the blowers in the textile mills and the axial flow fans. monitor to target. Our Bureau of Energy Efficiency always says digitalize your parameters, utility parameters. You can see it is done in the Premier Mills. It's a big group, and they are having all the digital indications for all their, see, all the waste collection headers near the carding machines. They have this, you can see on the right side corner, green color, this one, almost 1000 pascals or 900 pascals they are maintaining. If it is on the compressed air, they see to it that you have the digital output of the compressed air. Instead of seeing with parallax error on this gauge, they will see that it's 6.12 or 6.35 or like that. You need a 2 decimal, especially on the compressed air monitoring. On the second, you find this world's waste collection system. It is costing just 10,000 rupees. Digital manometer, it's a testomic, but you can have any type of this one. It is able to measure what all the pascals that is maintained in the ring frame and all the carding machines on the waste collection header. Everywhere it is measurable and you can maintain it. In all the water corners also, people are maintaining a different pascals that also monitor and then control it, matching to the given load, matching to the given count that is operated in the mill. Coming to the axial flow fans, this is a big area. Atira has given a lot of inputs to the textile mills. If you see 9 out of 10 mills, they don't have this tail flaring and the nose flaring. This nose flaring and tail flaring is fitted into the existing axial flow fan to streamline the airflow. The airflow is always turbulent. You need a suction bell mouth, this one, and a discharge cone type chute to have the flow of air to be streamlined instead of a turbulence. If you make this itself gives almost 7% savings. You find this Manby, this one, textile humidification, and many of the textile, even our Mr. Prakash, they are doing this airflow enhancers. They are doing this on the existing this one, and it can be improved. This can improve the existing airflow efficiency by 5 to 7% by all these retrofits. You can see the retrofits. What is it on the suction? What is it on the delivery? Yeah, bell mouth design on the suction and a cone type delivery on the discharge. That will definitely make the airflow smoothen, streamlined. We call it as a laminar airflow. Any textile mill, thanks to this is a Siemens motor, and thanks to this type of fan cowl has to be fixed for all the motors in the textile mill. It need not be there in the other industry, but for the textile mill, the textile fluff has to go through this fan cowl, this one mesh, and has to come out. If it is not able to come out, definitely the motor driven and non-driven temperature, it should be less than 10 degrees. It goes to more than 30-40 degrees also. So this is mandatory for all the motors, but not for the axial flow motor, because this is already cooled by the supply air fan that is being sucked. So it doesn't need this as such. This vena contracta is another point where many of the textile mills, in fact, we have done for some of the textile mills in north, we have come across, you can see airflow with no inlet bill, airflow with inlet bill. You can see the vena contracta point where there is a tip clearance that is there. Instead of a 1250 mm dia, if you have fixed a 1200 mm fan or a 1200 mm fan and more than 50 mm dia as the clearance, this itself is a loss of 10 to 20% that is happening in each and every textile mill. We call it as this is happening practically. You see to it that the tip clearance is maintained less than 1%. We can say if it is 1200 means it should be maintained less than 20 mm. This is also a critical area where the having done the running the airflow, this one axial flow fan, and this much of vena contracta is happening and the short circuiting is happening, this is a loss. This has to be corrected at the generation point in the axial flow fan. This is what I am referring to. Any type of axial flow fan which you use in the textile mill, it needs this fan performance curve. This fan performance curve will say what is the efficiency of the fan, what is the static pressure or the system resistance for the given fan, what is the absorbed power for the fan at the fan shaft. If this curve and the specification is there for your motors, then you can operate your fan to whichever area you want. Why the axial flow fans need to be resized? Because I don't say resize means It is all meant for peak summer conditions. It is all designed for the maximum conditions. But throughout the year, the summer condition is not there. So definitely the axial flow fans also need the VFD, and that has to be operated to the best efficiency point of the fan performance curve. In fact, the VFD is a facilitator for the given blower to achieve the best efficiency point for the fan performance. This is what we have to visualize the VFD's flexibility to achieve this best efficiency point. Humidification in the mill is basically to ingress water mist in microns. It is in microns. Many of the mills, they are using hard water that will be coming in. It's not in microns, it will be in mils, millions of inch. It should be in microns, millions of micrometers. Say this, it should be less than 10 microns, I can say. If the air mixture is reaching in different parts of the mill premises like ring frame area or the blowroom area or in the autoconer area, you can still maintain the water pressure at the humidification plant around 1.5 to 3 kg, depending on the nozzle size, depending on the individual nozzle flow and pressure, and you can maintain the header pressure of the nozzle, that is the riser. On the risers, you have the risers. Now you maintain the pressure in such a way that you achieve that 95% RH at the mist eliminator area. Here, in fact, having done energy audits in all the mills we have suggested, but many of the mills did not apply this concept. We have done the ring main concept in all the compressed air header, but we have to do the ring main concept on the water also. I'll just show you this one slide. You can see the ring main concept that is done totally. All the vertical riser pipes to be joined. The top one, the nozzles are all jetting. It is all, the water is coming so heavily at a high pressure. The bottom, this one image shows the nozzles are operated at 1.5 kg. Say if it is a 80 nozzle, first nozzle or the 80th nozzle, every nozzle will get the same pressure and flow. Thanks to the ring main concept, we can just retrofit a T connection on all the vertical riser pipes. You see that the flow and the pressure are available to each and every nozzle. This will reduce the kilowatt consumption of the given pump. You can reduce the pressure of the pump. It will maintain the RH 95% RH at the mist eliminator, and this is a win-win situation for the mill as such. The Indian agriculture or the farmer has changed from their GI pipes, this MSERW pipes, to rigid PVC pipes, but the textile mill has not changed still. Many of the latest mills or the latest modern generation modern mills, they have changed to PVC, rigid PVC pipes. Just replace all your GI pipes to rigid PVC pipes, suction pipes especially. You can straight away save around 20%. You can see a 4-inch pipe, instead of a 4-inch pipe, the water is hard. You have to give only soft water to the humidification plant. See, if optimizing the input or the fine-tuning the input is more important to achieve the energy savings. If you give a soft water to the humidification plant, the mill will be healthy. If you give a hard water or a recycled water, RO recycled rejected water, if you give it to the humidification plant, this will be killing your profit, or this will be killing the OPM of the given mill, operating profit margin. A textile humidification plant needs only a soft water. That is to be first taken in care. And then comes the piping. What all the scaling that has been formed from 4-inch to 3-inch, it has become 20% reduction in diameter. Straight away, the friction in the surface, friction due to the surface tension of water, that goes up by 3 times. Any of the sharp bends in the lines, not only on the compressed air line, on the water line, all the L joints, the sharp bends increases the friction by 70%. So go for long bends only in all the water lines, in as well as the air lines. Coming to the compressed air is healthy provided the air receiver is at, say if the ambient temperature is 40, the air receiver temperature has to be less than 45 only. 5 degrees is the maximum allowable. So you have to educate the mill as well as the OEMs, refrigeration dryers. They are supposed to have the temperature gauges at the air receiver. Worldwide, you have not seen any air temperature gauge on the compressed air receiver. We have to educate the industry, textile mill, to have the air receiver, the temperature gauge on the air receiver, and give alarms, like digitize the air. So you go for a RTD type, this one, it doesn't cost much, and it will give an alarm. If it is instead of 45 degrees, it goes more than 46 or 47, automatically the dryer gets derated. That is why the textile mills have understood this. For a 1000 CFM compressor, 160 kilowatt compressor for a textile mill, they go for almost 1500 or 2000 CFM dryer capacity. The dryer capacity minimum has to be 50% more than the compressor capacity. Refrigeration dryer, I mean to say. Automatically, the pressure, the temperature has to come down. You don't allow the dryer to derate because of higher input temperature to the dryer. The post air cooler has to definitely work correctly, and the water has to be removed at the water separator, at the air receiver, and at the air dryer, refrigeration air dryer. The temperature monitoring, especially on the compressor house, will definitely give lot of energy savings to the compressor generation, compressed air generation. Coming to the air intake for the given compressors, we are in India. A tropicalized climate has so much of SPM, suspended particulate matters. So if the more of hairiness or the more of fluff, and especially in a textile mill, you will find all these pre-filters. You are supposed to have a pre-filter, two-stage pre-filter. One is a Netlan type SS mesh on this one with 30 degrees angle. This needs to be fixed on all the textile mill screw compressors, air compressors. Then you go for a polyurethane filter. This is washable, this is cleanable, daily washable and daily cleanable. Automatically you can achieve a excellent FAD. Free air is delivered to the compressor air intake, and you can save around 3 to 5%. Some mills have lost more than 10% also because of choke in the FAD, choke in the paper filter of the FAD. This is a mandatory provision to be done on any of the textile mill air compressors. You have to educate them. The OEMs, they give for the safety of the compressor, but they have to also educate the textile mill to improve their energy savings in compressed air generation. Any mill can operate from 150 watts per CFM to 250 watts per CFM. Many of the mills are still operating at 250 watts per CFM. That is the SEC. But now the mills have started operating at 150 watts per CFM. That is what we have to target, we have to achieve for the given mill. Coming to the air intake, we have to educate the textile mill to go for a air intake digital, this one. See, this is given by a OEM, and this says 006 bar. The textile mill user, as a maintenance person, he sees he assumes only it is 0. If you are seeing a 006 bar, it's a 1 lakh Pascal. If it is crossing 600 Pascal, this itself is a choke for the FAD. If it is crossing more than 1000, see, normally they give for 3000 Pascal as the air intake filter, maximum delta P across the filter. If it is crossing 1000, you have to take the action to clean the filters. You cannot see a 600 Pascal on a 1 lakh Pascal scale. Either this console has to be remodified to resolution has to be improved, or you have to add an add-on with a digitized this one with an alarm. When there is a full flow, automatically if it gives alarm, then it needs to be cleaned. The air intake pre-filters has to be cleaned. Thanks to Synthen technology. No, you see, the way I'm telling all the OEMs also, because this compressed air flow metering, everyone was thinking it is a taboo. It was costing more than 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. Now it has become affordable. It is available for 1 lakh. See, this mill, textile mill, it was operating a 37 kilowatt machine for a 47 kilowatt. You can see the 47 kilowatt because they did not have a cleaning receiver. Because they did not have the cleaning receiver, once the cleaning is taken, straight away the pressure drops. So to maintain the pressure drop, this mill is always keeping 1 bar high on the header pressure. This is, see, you are going to use the cleaning for a given mill daily, say 4 hours. And for 4 hours cleaning, you are keeping the compressed air header for 24 hours at 1 bar pressure more. That is a loss to the mill. That you have to educate the mill to go for a cleaning receiver, to keep a dedicated cleaning receiver, and you maintain the pressure is not dropping when there is cleaning happening. Schedule the cleaning. That is more important. You can see the difference. Look into the difference between leakage and cleaning. Air leakage through a 6 mm hole is almost 100. A quarter-inch hole leaks almost 100 CFM, whereas a quarter-inch pipe is used. Same 6 mm pipe is used. You can see 6 mm cleaning hose, 8 mm clean, only 27 cm. Almost you are using a 3 meter, 10 feet length of hose. Automatically it gets steadily regulated, and it comes to only 27 CFM is delivered at the point of use. And if you're going for an energy efficient nozzle, we call it as a Konda nozzle or as a transvector nozzle, that itself is bringing almost 60% energy savings in the cleaning application. These are all mandatory. Once the cleaning is there in each and every shift, some of the textile mills, they do more than 2 hours in every shift. If they equip with this energy efficient nozzles and they have a cleaning air receiver, definitely the mill can save around 10 to 20%, especially because of this cleaning, better application of cleaning. Instead of a wrong application of cleaning, they can have a better application of cleaning. This is what I have been referring to. We have been using this infrared thermal imager for more than 10 years during our energy audits. We use in the compressor house, you can see on the left side, on the left image, this is a 3000 CFM compressor delivering at the header, and that is a 2000 CFM compressor. See, the 2000 CFM compressor is at a higher pressure. This is not allowing the 3000 CFM flow to go in. You need to have a conjoining bends. This thermal imager, we are able to see this, and we have suggested them, and immediately they change this from this T connection to conjoining bends, 45 degrees conjoining bends. Automatically, the pressure drop also problem solved, and the flow is, the cut-in cut-out also improved for the given compressor. The compressor house needs an excellent ventilation. If somebody is doing a chute type mechanism, especially on the compressor, definitely the compressor will fail within few years, few months also. The air has to be exhausted out quickly out. Yeah, air has to be exhausted with the expanded, almost 50% the air expansion has to be there on the expanded duct. It has to come out. If it is not done, the compressor is getting derated, and compressor, the element also, instead of 1 lakh hours, it will fail within 30 to 40,000 hours also. So take care to give a expanded duct, especially on the, see, these are all the symptoms when you visit the textile mill to see. These are all the areas. Immediately the mill has to take steps to correct this. The cut-in cut-out, this is more important. You see, if you have a batch of compressors 1, 2, 3 or 1 and 2 only, give the base load full condition, operate the base load to the full condition, and modulating load only for the 30%. The VFD will be on the modulating load only. Base load will be running full, and for the modulation, yes, say 20 to 30%, the VFD will be put to action. In fact, by adjusting the cut-in cut-out for the given textile mill, this can itself can give a energy savings within 1 to 2 hours. This mill can save by adjusting, fine-tuning the parameters of cut-in cut-out for the given compressors. What is to be set to 6 to 6.5, what is to set to 6.2 to 6.7. All this matters depending on the loading and depending on the application. We have done an energy audit in an L&T foundry. It's a ISO 50001 foundry. It's a world-class foundry at Coimbatore. We just asked the foundry, that maintenance person, to relocate the pressure sensor. You can see on the green line, we have asked them to relocate the pressure sensor from this point to the air receiver. It's a 5KL receiver. It's a battery of compressor, 75 kilowatt, 8 numbers. After relocating this, instead of 5,500 units per day, this came to 5,000 units. 10% savings was done. Allow the pressure sensor to sense not a pulsating load, but sense a constant load. That is why we need 2 receivers for the compressor house. One is for the pressure control, for this one, the receiver, the load and load control sensor. The other one is meant for the process demand. Automation is very much needed for the textile mill. Not only for textile mill, it's already needed for all the industry, but it is concentrated on only on the production. If it is concentrated on utilities, it will give a lot of energy savings to this industry. This is last but not the least, the soft water for the humidification plant. I have seen in Salem Sambandham group, some 5 years back, we have done this audit. They are receiving all the water rain harvested, and they are collecting in their pond. That water only they are using it for all their mills. For the total mill, they are using only the rainwater harvested, this one, for their AC plant. Like that, each and every, see, compared to all the other industries in India, textile mills have acres and acres of land. Go for rainwater harvesting pond, then make use of the water for your humidification plant, and also allow the people, surrounding people, they can make use of the aquifer that is getting higher, this one, the water level going up because of your pond. but that is put in the mill, you can improve the conditions of the surrounding people also. So tree planting on all the humidification plant, this is natural. In fact, when we visited a DC consumer, it's a Jayavalas at Arupukottai. In fact, we could not find the mill. When you see in the Google map also, in some of the textile mills, if you see the Google map, the mill is totally surrounded by green trees. They are seeing to it that the mill is kept green, totally surrounding green with all the green trees. They see to it that the AC plant humidification gets the best air, clean air and dry air. And if you are able to put a smart brick in front of the AC plant, definitely this will give you a evaporative cooling also. It will give you a better RH to the given mill. We are trying to make use of the ambient wet bulb temperature and improve the condition of the AC plant, humidification plant. Thanks for giving this opportunity. I have taken your I have taken your time to deliver all this one. What all the discussions what I have done now, I have just published two books, one on the energy conservation on general industry and one on the textile mills. This textile mill, it concentrates more on the axial flow fans, waste collection systems. What are all the equipments that is used in the textile mills? This is elaborating on this. And this gives details of all the case studies that we have been discussing now. It is there in this. So you can go buy this online and make use of this. And it is the individual mill. Basically, the maintenance and the production and the management has to take the initiative to reduce the consumption, because 1 unit saved in one machine of a given textile mill, which is running 24/7, it is 50,000 rupees saving per annum for that mill. So each and every unit saved in all the machines, it is crores of rupees saving. It is possible in each and every textile mill. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, indeed, it was a wonderful session. You have covered so many case studies, which are really helpful for the textile, those who are working or wish to do some research in the textile. It can be helpful to them. Even keep that last page, sir. So that book is actually, I want to say about that, because we have purchased these handbooks for our library, and which are very good, and by that students are doing some projects using these books also. Because sir, or while doing energy audit or while focusing on energy conservation, his always approach is towards low cost, not for the bigger, that is high cost, high end, that modification or the retrofitting. So this book will help a lot for the those who want to do some different kind of the innovative things or the research or want to conserve the electricity. Sir, it was very wonderful session, nice and very informative. I hope that faculty will get benefit out of